Welcome to the I Saved You, Now Do the Dishes podcast. I'm author and speaker Carrie Severson. In each episode, I'll share stories and tips from my experience with caregiving and advocacy through my husband's cancer journey. Hi, welcome back to I Saved You, Now Do the Dishes. I'm Carrie, the host. I'm by myself. Gavin is out playing in the creek. That's part of his healing process. He's 2 years post-treatment. We say cancer-free. Even though the doctors, it's so weird. People were like, oh, remission. They don't use the word remission until like he's 5 years post. And so even the doctors are like, oh yeah, he's just 2 years cancer-free. We were just talking about this the other day. My brother brought this up. He's like, so Gavin, you're 2 years cancer-free. And as soon as the word cancer comes up, my poor husband like gets the jitters. He was like plating himself some food on this like buffet table. My brother asked, so Gavin, you're 2 years cancer-free now? And my husband, he started blinking really fast and his eyes are popped open and he starts jittering and he's like, man, I just started sweating. And, food was such a big part of this whole thing that, my mom's like, oh, can you have barbecue pork? And he's like, yeah, I can have this. And she's like, oh, can you not have hot sauce? And there was some other thing on the menu. And he's like, I can have hot sauce. And I'm in the background, like shaking my head. Like there's still issues about food when it comes to, stuff. We can't have pepperoni. We make pizza. I put pepperoni on like a couple of slices or put it in the air fryer and then add it on afterwards. There's still things, but here we are 2 years post and our healing journey looks different. He's still triggered by things. I'm still triggered by things. And I think I'm triggered the most right around now because the hardest part of this journey was towards the end of his treatment, end of February, all of March, 2024. But then getting him into the long-term cancer wing, getting him out of the long-term cancer wing, fighting through things. His treatment kept on getting delayed because he would miss appointments or we got breaks because his quality of life had declined. So 2 years ago, right around now, he was supposed to have his last chemo appointment, but he had a panic attack and started spitting up gobs of blood, huge jelly-like globs. So we get sent to the ER. They have to do a full makeup scan, all these tests. There's no tear in his esophagus. There's nothing wrong. It's just gratefully, a panic attack because the previous time he had chemo, they overdosed him Benadryl, blamed us for it actually, because he was also on Oxy. Nobody told him not to take Oxy before chemo. So he gets there, there's chaos. 2 nurses come in, 2 nurses give him Benadryl, big bags of it. And then they're like, oh, he's just what we call snowed. Here are your options. You can try to wake him up. We can admit him to the ER as an overdose patient, or you can take him home and let him go through the process. It was awful. So he has a panic attack 2 years ago right around now because he doesn't want to go back to chemo. And he ends up back in the ER overnight in observation. So I can't stay with him. But I have a big triggering response so far, both Marches, both Februaries past, this has happened where I could break down at any moment. So I do my best to find gratitude in the experience and finding the light in what's happened and moving past it and healing from it. So my husband is playing in a creek. He is prospecting. He's having fun. He's, he loves God. His relationship with God has gotten much deeper since this. And he feels most connected to God with his feet in a creek, and he's admiring nature. And he does that best by himself. And I'm really proud of him for being able to do that. I have zero interest in doing that. It's good for him too. I need to figure out, though, what is best for me right now in this triggering. As a communicator, as a storyteller, sharing is probably what is healing and helping. Being a part of a community, as my social media channels are putting more information out about our experience, I'm seeing more caregivers. I'm experiencing more of that, of the other people's stories. And I have to share that I saw this story that was so moving the other day, where she was like, let's talk about the things nobody talks about. Let's talk about the fact that, like, you aren't allowed to be upset this is happening to you. You aren't allowed to miss and grieve your old life. You aren't allowed to talk about the fact that you didn't sign up for this. And I feel like that's very valid. As caregivers, the conversation is really around a lot of people talk about the blessing. A lot of people talk about the value and the benefits. But I think it's really important to talk about the hardship, and it's really important to talk about the heaviness and the legit burden of it. And there is a gap between caregiving and healthcare. And hopefully that gap is addressed and becomes smaller. That's the real goal, is to create conversation and awareness so the gap becomes smaller. So healing post 2 years involves a lot of discovery, a lot of trial and error, a lot of acceptance and slowing down, and recognizing that if, he needs to take a day and drive 90 minutes to go put his feet in a creek to look for gold that everyone knows, he's not going to find, but just the act of it, and letting him be by himself with his thoughts, or no thoughts at all. That's part of his process. And for me, sometimes it is days on the couch. Sometimes it is crying. Sometimes it is letting people know that I'm having a hard time. This is a little uncomfortable. There are so many ways to move through healing. I talk a lot about the breathing techniques. There's tapping. I love EFT. My favorite tapping channel is Tapping with Brad. Is it Tap with Brad Yates? His name is Brad Yates, Yates. Emotional frequency technique. I do a lot of that. You run through a really quick script series, acknowledging how you feel, saying out loud that you still love and accept yourself as you're hitting all these various meridian points around your body, starting on your hand. I think you are moving around your eye, underneath your nose, underneath your lips, your collarbone, underneath your arm, and then the top of your head. And then moving into components that you're really grateful for. I love emotional frequency technique. I love tapping. I do walk Huck every day. He's down here. He's 120 pound 2-year-old bloodhound. That's Huckleberry. Hucky. Hi. I hope you saw that. So I'm outside every morning, getting some fresh air, moving my body. I am moving through the Bible. I'm reading the Bible for the first time in my life. I don't know if, anyone here has read cover to cover, but I'm interested in exploring that. These are all things that I'm doing for my mental health, moving me through 2 years post. And the reason I'm sharing all this is because so many people look at the caregiving experience as an open and shut kind of thing, that like once you're done with caregiving, once your person is done with treatment, you get to snap back into the reality of what your life was. And that's not true. And I'm sharing the uncomfortableness of being triggered by this 2-year milestone and this 2-year anniversary, because so much happened in a short period of time. And my life was heightened, enhanced. I was in fight or flight pretty consistently for, 6 months, from him waking up with this lump on his neck to being diagnosed a month later to being told he wasn't going to start treatment when we originally agreed, to fighting the hospital to get him admitted, to removing people from his team, to big globs of blood all over the place, to him almost dying, to being released from the hospital against my wishes, in and out of the ER. It was a lot in a short period of time. And healing is an ongoing process. So 2 years later, it's still happening. I'm still trying to find my way through it. And today is just this really weird, uncomfortable day where I'm just going to sit, process what happened 2 years ago today, turn on a little Tapping with Brad Yates, and probably cry. And that's okay. If you are a caregiver moving through your process, highly recommend EFT and letting yourself have a really good cry. Until next time, I love you. And please remember, it's always okay to have someone else do the dishes.